everyone, it's me, Kelly, again. Before watching the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. What strikes me most is how Curtis has changed, or perhaps how the circumstances around him have pushed him into this controlling territory. We've seen him go through so much over the years, and I always rooted for him to find happiness and stability. Yet lately, his constant harassment of Isaiah and those threats of violence have crossed a threshold that even a longtime fan like me finds troubling. It's one thing to be protective, but quite another to behave in ways that make the mother of your unborn child feel unsafe. Portia's decision to cut off direct communication makes perfect sense to me. In the episode on June 10, when she made it clear that Curtis could only reach out through her doctors for any updates about the baby, I actually cheered for her quiet strength. She's not being spiteful, she's protecting her peace, and more importantly, the new life she's carrying. I keep thinking about poor Trina in all of this. Portia once regretted keeping the truth about her daughter's paternity hidden for so many years, but now she's starting to see that difficult choice in a different light. It protected Trina from some of the chaos that Curtis brings, especially when his life spirals. With this second child, though, hiding isn't an option. Curtis already knows the truth, and that knowledge seems to have only fueled his need to control the situation. As someone who has watched countless custody battles play out on this show, I believe Portia is laying the groundwork for a serious fight ahead. She may very well seek full custody, and given Curtis's recent behavior, a judge might look favorably on her position. The latest development about Curtis heading to Spring Ridge instead of Pentonville adds an entirely new layer of complication. I thought his legal troubles might resolve more cleanly, but it appears poor Charles is in for another round of wild twists. Curtis is fighting to avoid the worst outcome. Yet even if he succeeds in staying at Spring Ridge, that doesn't magically solve the problems at home. How can a man behind bars, even in a less severe facility, expect to co-parent effectively when the mother of his child no longer trusts him? This situation feels different from past storylines because Portia isn't just reacting emotionally. She's thinking several steps ahead, especially when it comes to shielding both the baby and Isaiah. Isaiah's presence in this mess has been fascinating to watch. He genuinely seems to care for Portia and is ready to step up in ways Curtis currently cannot. I've seen fans argue online about whether Isaiah is moving too fast, but from my perspective, his steady support contrasts sharply with Curtis's volatility. Portia needs someone who brings calm right now, not more drama. The way she and Isaiah are united in not letting things proceed too simply shows real growth for her character. She's no longer willing to tolerate behavior that endangers her family's future. That protective instinct reminds me of some of the strongest mothers we've seen on General Hospital over the decades, and it makes me proud of how far Portia has come. Of course, I can't help but feel a pang of sympathy for Curtis too. No one wants to see a man miss out on raising his child, especially after everything he's endured. But sympathy doesn't mean excusing actions that push a woman to her limits. I've been asking myself, will Curtis recognize how much damage his behavior has caused before it's too late? Or will his anger at being sidelined push him into even more desperate measures? The show has a way of surprising us, and I suspect we're heading towards some explosive confrontations. Maybe Curtis will have a moment of clarity while at Spring Ridge. Perhaps he'll finally understand that true fatherhood requires more than biological ties. It demands trust and stability. Portia's strategy of limiting contact feels smart and necessary. By forcing all communication through medical professionals, she's creating healthy boundaries while still allowing Curtis access to important information about his child. It's a mature approach that many real-life families in conflict could learn from. At the same time, it highlights how broken their relationship has become. I remember when Curtis and Portia seemed destined for a beautiful life together. Now, watching their story unfold, I'm reminded that love alone isn't always enough when trust has been shattered. Looking ahead, I'm genuinely excited and a little nervous about what comes next. Will Portia follow through with the full custody request? How will Isaiah factor into any legal proceedings? And what role will Trina play as she watches her parents battle over another child? These questions keep me up at night, in the best possible way. The writers have done an excellent job building this slow burn conflict, layering in the legal troubles, the new romance, and the impending birth to create something truly compelling. One thing I particularly appreciate is how the storyline avoids making anyone purely villainous. Curtis isn't a monster. He's a flawed man reacting poorly under pressure. Portia isn't cold-hearted. She's a mother fighting for safety and peace. Even Isaiah brings his own complexities that enrich the tale. This balance keeps the drama feeling authentic rather than over the top, though we all know General Hospital can deliver shocking moments when we least expect them. I've spoken with friends who've watched the show as long as I have, and we all agree this arc feels fresh despite touching on familiar themes of custody and paternity. The addition of Spring Ridge as Curtis's destination changes the power dynamics in interesting ways. It limits his physical presence while potentially giving him time to reflect. Whether he uses that time wisely remains to be seen, but I'm hopeful the story will explore redemption without rushing it. Portia's recent choices have shown her strength in a new light. She's not the same woman who once kept such a massive secret out of fear. Now she's taking control thoughtfully and deliberately. That evolution makes her incredibly relatable. Many of us who have raised families understand the fierce need to protect children, even from their own parents when necessary. It's a painful reality, but one the show is handling with care and nuance. As we move forward, I expect the tension to keep rising. The writers have planted so many seeds. Curtis's legal battles, Portia's determination, Isaiah's growing role, and the innocent baby at the center of it all. Something has to give, and when it does, I suspect it will be memorable. I'll be right here watching every episode, cheering for healing and hoping for the best possible outcomes for these characters I've grown to love over the years. There's a particular warmth in sharing these thoughts with fellow fans. We've seen so many ups and downs in Port Charles together. This current chapter feels important because it touches on universal themes of family, forgiveness, and boundaries. Whatever happens next, I know it will keep us talking and theorizing until the very end. And honestly, that's one of the many reasons I'll never stop watching. The drama is intense, but the heart behind it keeps me invested, episode after episode. Portia's decision to cut off direct contact with Curtis was already a bold move, but now the added stress in her dynamic with Jordan is pushing everything into even wilder territory. Jordan has always been a voice of reason in Port Charles, but the way she interacts with Portia lately shows how deeply everyone is affected by Curtis's situation. Their conversations carry an undercurrent of unease that feels fresh and different from past conflicts. It proves that the changes happening now are truly crazy in the best soap opera sense. Nothing stays simple when hearts and families are on the line. Curtis's future has become one of the biggest problems looming over the entire canvas. His efforts to avoid Pentonville and land at Spring Ridge instead seemed like a small victory, but even that is now clouded by uncertainty. I find myself worrying about him more than I expected. He has been through so much, yet his recent behavior toward Isaiah has created ripples that refuse to settle. As a longtime viewer who has seen Curtis grow and struggle, I feel conflicted. Part of me still hopes he finds redemption, but another part understands why Portia must protect herself and the baby. The idea that Isaiah might actually succeed in pushing Curtis toward Pentonville sends chills down my spine. If that happens, it would create an absolute new disaster for everyone involved. Isaiah stepping up as a steady presence in Portia's life is admirable in many ways, but the possibility of him influencing Curtis's prison outcome feels dangerously explosive. I keep asking myself, would Isaiah really go that far to secure his place in Portia's world? And if he does, how will Curtis react once he learns of it? These questions make the upcoming episodes feel electric with anticipation. Portia is clearly in survival mode, determined to safeguard her unborn child and create stability. Her growing closeness with Isaiah seems to give her strength, yet it also complicates her already tense connection with Jordan. The obsession with controlling the narrative around Curtis's future is affecting all of them. Jordan's perspective brings another dimension because she shares a past with Curtis that Portia can never fully understand. Watching these women try to find common ground while everything spins out of control is both heartbreaking and thrilling. I believe this storyline is highlighting something important about forgiveness and boundaries. Curtis's controlling actions have forced Portia to make hard choices, and now those choices are rippling outward to Jordan and Isaiah. It's different from earlier custody dramas we've seen because the emotional stakes feel more layered. The threat of Pentonville hanging over Curtis changes everything. Even if he ends up at Spring Ridge, the damage to his relationships may be too deep to repair quickly. What fascinates me most is how the writers are balancing sympathy for Curtis with the very real concerns of Portia and those around her. No one is purely right or wrong here, and that realism keeps me invested. Will Jordan and Portia find a way to ease the tension between them, or will Curtis's situation drive them further apart? Could Isaiah's involvement lead to the catastrophe I fear, or might it actually bring some unexpected healing? The future of Curtis truly feels like the center of a gathering storm. Every episode adds more pressure, more obsession, and more crazy turns that remind me why I have loved this show for so long. The baby's arrival is approaching, and with it comes the potential for major confrontations and emotional breakthroughs. I can already imagine the powerful scenes ahead. As someone who has followed these characters through countless ups and downs, I feel a deep connection to their journeys. Portia's strength inspires me, even when her choices are difficult. Curtis still has time to reflect and change course, especially if Spring Ridge gives him that chance. But if Isaiah's efforts tip the scales toward Pentonville, the fallout could reshape relationships in Port Charles for years to come.